My name is Galena. I am the fiance of Joshua Lee McCollister, who was murdered by Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand, or robbed by Danielle Durand. Do a whole video about why I can't call her technically a murderer. I've really been dreading shooting this particular video. When I found out that Josh was murdered, I went into a state of shock. And I thought of every conceivable reason in the world why this had to be a mistake. You know, he'd been robbed sometime before he was murdered, and I thought, well, maybe they just got, like, his wallet. Maybe they just got the ID, and that's why they think it's him. Like, every conceivable reason why this could not be true. Believe me, I thought of it. And even after the coroner confirmed that that's what had happened, I still couldn't believe it. I knew I wouldn't believe it unless I actually saw him. And that's why I went to see him at the coroner's office in Humboldt County. I want to talk about what I saw in that room. And it's difficult because I know that, so much of the reason why I'm shooting this video is for Sandy and for Neil, Josh's parents. And I so don't want them to be hurt more than they've already been hurt, but I think I need to talk about this because people need to hear what it's like to go into a coroner's office to see the person you love who has been murdered. It's not like, someone dies of a heart attack. So I went there, and I want to say thank you specifically to Brandon at the coroner's office. They were so kind, so kind. They stood on one side of the door and they explained to me that he was on the other side. They explained to me that there were, I'm not sure what the word is, injuries, wounds that had happened during the autopsy, that he did not look like. I just needed to be prepared for that. And they said I could take as long as I needed. And that I could hold his hand. When Josh's wife died, I remember that's one of the things he used to say a lot, that he just wanted to hold her hand one more time. So they let me go in by myself, and I remember when I saw him, I cried out, "Oh, baby." Because he was such a handsome man, and what I saw on that slab, I would not have recognized him. I really wouldn't have. Josh had such a pudgy, Irish nose, and it wasn't pudgy anymore, I guess because that's just the way that the flesh settled. It was very sharp now. And he had very full lips. And now they were very thin. And I'm just gonna assume that the blood must have settled. The top half of him was so much paler. I would not have been able to recognize him. I'd wanted a lock of his hair. And I circled the body. And there were bits of his brain that were exposed. And so I'd intended to ask the coroner if I could have a look of his hair, and when I saw his brains, I just couldn't do it. It just so much of me just shut down. And I sat with him, and I held his hand, and I cried. His hand was the one thing that I would really recognize, because, see, Josh had really big hands, like size 14 fingers. And I tried to focus on what his hand felt like in mine. I really tried to think about the tactile sensation, ignoring how cold his hand was. Ignoring he felt damp because he'd been frozen. He felt damp, he looked damp. I just tried to hold his hand, and I told him that I loved him and I would love him forever. And I promised him that I would make sure that his killers were brought to justice. And, it was so hard to leave that room knowing that I was never going to see him again. And I went in the bathroom, and I chopped my hair off. See, I come from a very traditional culture, and long hair is very sacred to a woman. And Josh understood that. He was very respectful about the fact I'm a minority, and that long hair in my culture means so much. So I chopped my hair off, and I put it in a Ziploc bag, and the Ziploc bag also had a lock of hair from our 3 children, and I put my the necklace that I always wore, my Star of David, and put it in the bag. And Josh always wore a hair tie of mine on his wrist. Sometimes he'd wear 2 at a time. It was his way of showing loyalty to me, showing how much he loved me, to always wear something of mine. And I put the hair tie I was wearing in the bag. Then I came out and I gave it to the coroner, and he promised me that he would take this bag and he would tape it into Josh's hand so that he would have his family with him, so that when he was cremated, he would have part of his wife and part of his kids with him. I'm going to be wearing black for a year out of respect to Josh. You think my hair is going to grow back in a year? He deserved that kind of love, though. He deserved that kind of devotion. You can't imagine what it's like to see someone on a slab because someone decided to shoot them over a puppy Josh was getting our kids a puppy. He saw an ad for free puppies on NextDoor that Danielle Durand put up. And he got that puppy that she was giving away for our kids. And then she decided a couple hours later that she wanted it back. He'd already sent out the picture of himself with that puppy for me, so the kids would know he wasn't going to give that puppy back. Not after he promised it to our babies. Just no. There's no way he would have given, like, if Danielle Durand had asked him for the shoes off his feet, he'd have given them to her, but he would not give up something that belonged to his kids. Something they'd gotten for his family. He wouldn't have even seen it as his at that point. He was trying to be a good dad, that's all. And they shot him for it. No one should die. No one should die for the reason he did. I'm having to come up with a tombstone for him, and the only thing I can think to say on it is he died trying to make his kids happy. This is why Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand deserve the maximum penalty. You know, Josh's mom, she couldn't even stand the thought of seeing him at the coroner's office. She said she could not handle. She had to remember him as he was. It devastated her so much to think of what they did to him. No one should have died for the reason that Josh did. Absolutely no one.